Hey, folks, welcome back to Farmer Talk. On today's episode, I don't really know what we're going to talk about. The topic today was left up to Dad and BJ, so this should be exciting for all.
What'd you figure out?
Oh my God!
Well, I thought you just talk about the weather. We ain't got any corn
I think
planted.
this has turned into Dad's podcast because he's always, "Hey, we're gonna do a podcast today."
He's always
We're gonna do a
very
podcast today?
so. And
Well-
for the viewers and listeners, Dad thoroughly enjoys doing this podcast. The problem is he just expects it to happen with no prep work.
Right,
And this time of year, there's a lot of stuff going on, and prep work's kind of difficult at the moment.
Well, live. People want to see it live.
No, they don't. The live one did not do that well.
If they followed us around, they probably would all day.
No, it would be boring. It would be 20.
Some of the things wouldn't, would they?
It'd be 16 hours of boredom with 30 seconds of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that 30 seconds, man, it'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
So,
There's a joke in there.
Yeah.
so
Well, Dad, let's talk about the weather. BJ, what were you about to say?
moving on.
Yeah.
Well, it's wet, but we'll take it because last year's dry, and I'd rather have the wet than the dry. But yeah, I don't know if we're behind five. This is the fifth.
How much rain do you think we've had this year? Where do you think we're at?
Oh, I don't know. This
So what do we say? 36 is our average annual.
No, it's like 43.
yeah, 42.
Okay, so we're at like
17.
17.
I checked rain.
16 to 17.
So we're not sponsored by Raindrop, but we do use Raindrop, and according to it, we're at 17 inches for the year.
What's
to date.
raindrop?
it's the app that me and Brian have
How come I don't have it?
because you got to pay for it.
Oh.
So I'm paying for it. He's paying for it. Do you want to pay for it?
No, I ain't paying for it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a lot of money.
It ain't better
Yeah,
what I got. Don't sound like.
I mean, I can tell you how much rain we got at every field.
According to
Yeah, kind of like climate.
Oh,
who also doesn't pay us. Climate.
Is that an option? Climate, is that an option?
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's
Well, anyway.
it's what I like to call a reverse sponsorship. We pay them.
Yes, yes.
How much corn we got to ground, Brian?
We have about 280 acres of
Hey,
corn
let's start on a
planted.
positive. Let's start on a positive. How much maize do we have in the ground?
Well, that is
Almost all of it.
that is true. So if you don't follow us along on the YouTube channel, we've been strip tilling now since 2020, and this is the first year that we still didn't cover every acre. We have a lot of fields that are small. In fact, Wes, our agronomist, told me the other day we have 70 acres worth of fields below 10 acres.
Yep.
That ranges anywhere from 1 acre to 10, obviously. So those little fields did not get strip tilled, but everything else has been successfully strip tilled, and that's like the most we've ever done in a year.
Yep.
So part of that is because we've always used Underfirst Demo Bar. So we're very grateful to our friends at Underfirst for allowing us to do that. We've probably done a lot of, I guess, research and development for them, not knowing, because we were running that bar before it was branded and marketed. But they've continued to allow us to use that bar, and it's helped a lot. The only problem with that situation is sometimes we don't get that bar till a little later than we'd like to see it. Usually it's the third week of March. If we'd have had it March 1st, we probably would have been done before the last rain, like 2 rains ago, I would say. But now that we're 5 years into strip tilling, what do you think of it? I feel like we've kind of got all the bugs worked out of our operation now, like as far as material handling and logistically.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, it's a 2-bin system.
I guess we ought to go back to what is strip till, because I take it for granted people know what strip till is.
Strip till is, I'll put it in basic terms for you. It's basically I'm putting the fertilizer that the corn needs in a furrow that the planter is going to follow along and plant right on top of.
How wide is a strip?
30 inches wide. Or how wide is the
How
actual
wide is the
furrow? It's
actual
about
strip?
4 inches, I think.
4 to 6 probably.
8.
You think it's 8 inches wide?
Yeah, you take the colders probably that far apart.
Either way,
Whatever.
you're only tilling up a small strip, and everything else in between those strips is no till. I mean, it's not getting disturbed.
Correct. So anyway, that being said, what do I think of it? I don't know. Seems to be effective.
I get asked pretty often, what do we think of strip till now? We've been doing it for a while, and do you see any huge benefit? I'll be honest, I haven't seen a huge yield benefit, but I believe that it is helping us. I believe it is better for our corn.
I think so, but I mean, I feel like our operation is so variable as far as soil types and even weather patterns in certain spots. How do you determine? where your yield benefit's coming from.
I know one thing I like about it, we don't use any liquid fertilizer on our corn planter or any starter pop-up fertilizer, but we're planting on top of Mez 10, which does have some nitrogen and phosphorus in it, along with some sulfur. So that's kind of acting as our starter fertilizer, basically, and I like that. I think that kind of helps us a little bit compared to when we were just broadcasting that Mez onto top of the ground. Do you think it's helping any, Dad?
Well, the only bad situation I see with ours the way it is now, we're stripping with 16 and planting in 12. And it's, sometimes you get a little wide bulk, as you did earlier, because it wasn't on.
There's always some kind of hiccup with steering.
And it drifts a lot, but it would be better if you had a 16-row planter or a 24-row strip till bar.
So I've been thinking about that a lot while in the cab. Do you think we'd be better off to stay with a 12-row corn head and get a 12-row strip till bar, or go to a 16-row corn head and a 16-row planter?
Well, it makes a difference in the combine. Don't make much difference, I don't think.
I'm just. What do you think would be?
Well, if anything, go bigger. You don't want to go smaller.
Yeah, I think you'd want to match your implements.
So
Can you pull? Do you think you could pull a 24-row with that way you're doing it now?
I don't think they make it yet.
4 inches deep, probably.
I know.
And that's the other thing. If we had a machine that was ours, we wouldn't be strip tilling in March and April.
And
we
we'd
would probably be doing some acres in March and April.
We'd be going deeper.
But we'd be doing it in the fall or over the winter and going deeper, yeah.
Well, back in the good old days,
Trying to go to the fall and winter.
Yeah.
me and my brother started strip tilling, I think, about 96. We started off at the ammonia bar. And usually the year that I made a bar, and it was 12 rows. And then we had 12-row planters. So we was on that, but we used anhydrous back then. And boy, I'll tell you, when you
had to get it deep or it'd burn it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we tried to. Tried to get 8 inches, 6, 8 inches. We used a mold knife, and that kind of broke it up a little bit, and didn't throw a whole lot of dirt like the thing now. It's got them inch knives on it. Throws a lot of dirt, but when that ammonia, it gets hold of that ammonia, man, it would take off more so than the way the dry fertilizer is. I've seen a bigger jump in the corn. Did it help the yield? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know back then. I don't know.
I'd
But
say.
it sure looked pretty.
I think.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say. I think the way you were doing it then, you were seeing that huge jump because that corn had nothing, and then all of a sudden it got all the nitrogen it was getting for the year.
Well, we used some.
Did you use pop-up?
Starter.
Okay.
Some starter back then too. I mean, we used to use dry fertilizer. Our 12-row planter had a dry.
But I mean,
dry row.
even now when we put on our nitrogen with a sprayer, you can see a difference overnight in that corn, especially if we get a little bit of rain to take it down.
Yeah.
So do you remember the 12-row that had dry fertilizer on? That was way before you, probably.
I remember the Kinsey stacker bars, the first corn planter I remember.
Before you. So he used to have a 12-row deer.
I've seen pictures. We got videos of
and
it.
a yellow gravity wagon with an auger and a power box on it. And
Yep.
fill it that way.
So that's on some of the throwback videos on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, planting.
Planting with the 4430 below the dome.
Yeah, them was good old days. Didn't have to worry about all these GPS stuff not working.
So that was one. We'll get to GPSs in a little bit, but anyways, back to strip tilling. Do you think that? Well, that was going to be one of my questions. Do you think you'd rather stay six? At one time, you wanted to go 12 rows, but we were also trying to go deeper in the spring.
Yeah.
We did go 12 rows the first year, and we also did liquid that first year instead of dry.
So the first year was a 12-row liquid 3-point hitch unit.
Yep.
So that thing was, there was no variance as far as the steering. It was right behind the tractor. It
Yeah.
was going everywhere the tractor went.
Other than it being heavy, I thought that was a pretty good setup, really.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how much benefit we got putting 28 in the ground. I don't know. Did you?
Oh, it get hold of it. Yeah, it help.
But we were still. It didn't really. I mean, none of this is really saving a pass because we still have to go spread potash, which I would like to get back to try and put potash to the strip till bar. At one point in time, we had problems with potash and strip till rig because there was no. The hoppers weren't pressurized with air, so it was kind of settling out and plugging all the time. But
This was the very early
Yes,
days.
yes,
That's
this was-
all since been.
I haven't tried that in 2 years.
Yeah.
At least 2 years.
I do remember the first year we had the big Raptor. Like, I'll be honest, when you started strip tilling, I was like, man, that's kind of what I wanted to do. And then after I seen you, like, the second day you did it, I was like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and go over here.
Yeah, so year 2, we went to the dry product on the big Raptor and made the mistake of putting potash in the front hopper, which is strike 1.
Why does it matter on the front and back?
I'll get to it. And I put the mez in the back hopper. And then strike 2 was we started in a 150-acre field that everybody could see by the road, which we get pretty good at that. It seems like we start every project right on the road. But that 150-acre field, I think, took 3 days of solid running to get done.
Well, it was a lot of solid taken apart.
Well, I think the first night, Dad drove his truck out clear over to the property line where I was working. What in the hell are you doing? It was like 10:30 at night. And I had meters laying on the ground and hoses everywhere. So the reason you don't put potash in the front hopper is because when you're folded out to run, 40 pounds ago, I could slide right in there and get to those meters. Currently, not so much.
Yeah.
So you run your potash in the back hopper that way. It's right there. You just,
I see.
but that was year 1 with a lot of learning between now and then.
And there's been a lot of updates to that bar. I mean, now overall it seems like it goes pretty smooth. Like, I mean, you did what, 240, 250 acres in a day with a 40-foot bar.
But that's part of running one product.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was running potash, there'd have been a lot more fill-ups during the day. So
yeah, and I don't mind. So one of the reasons we went to running one product, if you recall, was the two-year spread we were going to try to start doing.
Yeah.
If our theory was potash is pretty important for soybeans, we're going to start spreading 2 years worth of product onto our soybean ground, and then not having to worry about potash on our corn ground is the plan. So in that case, you wouldn't need it. Maybe if anything, there's some AMS.
I think he kind of forgets that from time to time when he was thinking about how many times we were into floater this spring.
Yeah. Maybe if we got to that point, though, instead of using Mez 10, we could use Triple P and AMS.
Yeah. I think maybe we could change up the product applied.
Yeah.
And start saving on passes.
Yeah. So, Dad, when did you start using Mez 10? Mez 10 is a phosphorus fertilizer. I can't remember the exact analysis of it, but it has sulfur in it.
Is it 1224-010? Is that wrong?
I thought it was 1840-010.
DAP is 1846-01. DAP is 1846-0.
Okay. The Google machine will tell us.
Yeah. When I start,
I mean, we've used Mez 10 as long as I can remember.
10 years.
Longer than that. I've been full-time farming with you since 2010.
Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just DAP and potash, mostly.
What's the analysis, BJ?
1846-010, ain't it? Or something like that.
I said that, and you said that was MAP.
The Google machine, whatever their AI is, not happy about it.
Yeah.
1240-010. I was right.
Okay.
I was guessing, but I was right.
Yeah, good guess. Good guess. Well, like I said, positive note, we've got all of our strip tilling done for the year, and that is a huge relief because that frees up a tractor, that frees up an operator, and now we can kind of start focusing on some other things. One thing this fall that we have almost zero done of, which is pretty unnormal, we have 0 bean acres ready to go. Like, even
what about done with beans? Look how dusty the drill is.
Yeah, why is the drill dusty?
We're about done.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't get cleaned up this fall.
Somebody planted corn last year, not beans, for the first time, and his drill got left real dirty.
It was
Seems like there might have been a wheat crop put in.
It was cleaned up before wheat.
I always cleaned it right after wheat double crop beans planting.
Whatever.
Anyways, we don't have any bean ground ready to go because this year we are
because we're lazy.
Yeah. Probably because of baseball season more than anything. But we haven't done any vertical tillage on our corn stalks. Usually we would have quite a bit of that done by now. I mean, most of it. And the reason we haven't, we're trying to wait till we have our bean fertilizer all applied. Well, we couldn't do that till we got our strip tilling and our potash all applied. So now that that's done, one of us
The reason we couldn't do that until we get strip tilling and potash applied was because we have 2 more products to put on and 2 bins in the barn to store the products.
Well, we could have cleared this barn out, but we didn't. Probably should have, looking back. But now when the weather starts breaking, we'll be spreading fertilizer, and one of us will be doing a tillage pass behind that, and hopefully within a couple days we'll be ready to plant some beans anyways. We got a 150-acre field of gravelly ground. I'm thinking we'll probably be one of the first ones ready to plant anyways, and I'd really like to get that all applied and planted this week. But I think this weekend we had 2 inches of rain, a couple hailstorms, a lot of wind. For the week, I think we're at 3 inches in the past 7 days.
So did we actually get hail out here?
Vinton County did, I know for sure.
I saw pictures of people in Londonderry with hail in their patio. Did we get hail here?
I don't know. Well, I was here. I was in town there too, ball game.
So
when I come home, there hadn't been any hail.
There was, the first one was Friday night?
Yeah, Friday night was a big hailstorm.
Yes, and I was
like golf ball size.
We
hail.
were playing baseball,
and we were playing softball.
And we got thunder and lightning, so they run the kids off the field, canceled the game. We were under the shutter house trying to wait out the rain, and here come like nickels and dimes and golf balls out of the sky. So that was pretty interesting. I should have took some pictures, but my phone was buried. And then I saw pictures yesterday, right after you guys finished up a softball game on Sunday.
Yep.
It must have been an inch or so on the ground. I mean, it covered the ground out there in town.
But I was sitting in my living room looking out the window, and
We never got anything.
I didn't see hail.
I bet there's a lot of insurance claims right now.
Yeah.
That was the first time I've been in a hailstorm that was big enough to dent cars. Like,
Well, the first one, but I
Bad.
don't think that second one was it?
It looks like
second one.
downtown there was probably some more damage, like it was worse.
I don't know about where I was at the ballpark. It looked like shaved ice.
Okay.
Like
the pictures like up Bridge Street looked more like nickel dime.
Yeah. When you start getting golf balls hitting your ceiling or your roof on your car, they make loud noises. I remember that Friday night we're sitting there in line to leave the ballpark, and it starts like we're going to get dinner, and man, it's hailing. Like you said, kids love saying hail.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. So we were Friday night. We were walking to the car like we thought it was over, and I'm walking. Mason and I are walking behind my wife, and Rachel takes a step forward, and right where she was standing, this, I mean, it would have knocked her out. It was a big old chunk of ice fell. And I think, you just dodged one there, babe.
Well, the guy I coached softball with, one of my buddies from high school, he and his wife just bought a brand new Suburban, like 3 days before this hailstorm. And they're at the ballpark and super excited about this car, and it's a nice car. And I call him as I'm sitting in line and I'm getting hailed on. I know he's like 4 cars behind me. I'm like, what do you think of this hail? And he goes, what hail? And he goes, oh, shit, it's hailing. And I was like, yeah, about that time you start hearing the big ones hit. And you hear ka-thud, ka-thud. Yeah. But how'd you like to have been at a car show in that one?
Ooh.
Yeah, but so we got a little bit more fertilizer to put on then.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of Mez 10, but it's all in the seed tender. The fertilized spreader's got a MAP potash blend on it, or DAP potash blend on it, that we got to take to a couple fields before we can spread that bean fertilizer. I got to thinking about that last night. The fields that needs to go on are the wet fields too.
Yeah.
So,
So we're all loaded up with nowhere to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
And in the meantime, we've got, 300 acres of corn in?
280-ish. So I got rained out, a week ago tomorrow. And that day was the only real day of running I've had. And it was, everything was going pretty smooth. Thought I was going to finish the field I was in, but I've got the end rows on a 90-acre field, and I'm halfway done.
Good. 2 trips to that field this fall.
Nah, it's going to be a 5-day difference, so I don't think it'll be too bad. They'll be a little bit wetter on one side, probably. Yeah. I got the dry side of it done, too.
Good.
Yep, but
So what's going to happen is this weather's going to break. Everything's going to get nice, and we still got some burn down to do, all kinds of tillage, all kinds of fertilizer, and we'll have to take some time out and spray some wheat. it's
Yeah, I'd
it's
say
going to become a flurry of activity here
wheat's
real
probably,
quick.
Wheat's probably next week.
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah.
Middle
I'm
week.
planning on probably about 7-8 days. It's going to be ready.
Yeah, it's going to be
gonna
ready.
So the majority of the country does not manage wheat like we do. So you want to tell them what pass we're putting on this time? This will be like the 7th pass of this wheat.
Ain't that much, is it?
I think
We've done a
6.
herbicide, 2 nitrogens, and then you put Palisade and fungicide on, or a Palisade and a.
Well, didn't you do a fall? You didn't do a fall front.
I didn't do a fall burn down. Everything.
He puts on Palisade, which is a regulator,
Been-
keeps it uniform height because of all the nitrogen.
Been dry.
Dry fertilizer pass in the fall.
Yeah, it's
It gets ran over a lot, is what we're getting at.
And then there'll be a final fungicide.
Yeah. So BJ will be doing the fungicide pass probably as soon as the weather breaks.
Yep.
We could probably do that tomorrow. Actually, I mean,
yeah, it ain't ready for it yet.
It's not headed out yet. I need 80%.
Just start-
80% of the field's got to be headed out.
I mean, it's well, yeah.
Just starting to come.
The way we're going about it, though, we don't really have to wait for the field to be super.
Right.
super dry.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. If it need to be, we could go tomorrow.
Yeah.
I got some prep work to do first, but
Yep. Yeah, I would say when the weather does break,
Oh, hell's going to break loose.
yeah,
I'm probably just going to plant corn.
Yeah, he gets the easy job.
I mean, I'm going to plant as much corn as I can until we get done with the dry fields. I'm going to start planting beans. If you're still spraying and you're still fungiciding.
I'll still be spraying because I got to come back and after I get the burn down, I got to come back what you've planted and put 28 on it. We put about 25 gallon 28 on it after it's planted. Hopefully before it's up, but
A lot of it's going to be up.
some of it's going to be up.
I bet the first field is up, especially that first 10 acres. I bet it's up.
And the river got out again yesterday. It was coming back up again.
It never got out, did it?
Yeah, it's right over the hill there. It's coming up where you go down over the hill. Deer crossing. The whole looked like that 28 acres down there was under. So I don't think come much farther than that. But
Whenever I seen the river yesterday, I didn't think it was that high.
we cleaned some of the logs up, but now we're gonna have some more. A few, wasn't too bad, but the biggest thing is stalks. It piles them up, so we got to do something.
what
and
about where I've run?
try to burn them, and where you've run, I don't
Is
think
it washed out?
I ain't seen it. I don't.
Well, if it was in those fields, it wouldn't be.
But the biggest thing is the stalks. You got to try to burn them, and we'll have to run tillage tool or something through it.
Hopefully, it didn't get too much of the strip tilled ground because the strip tilled ground, the row cleaners really did a good job of moving them out of the way. The only problem is, even if the row cleaners move that mat of stalks to the side, then you've got this just perfect habitat for bugs.
There's not that many stalks in it.
Yeah.
In the corn ground.
Yeah.
There was a couple spots that were, oddly enough, that 20-acre field right below the deer crossing had the worst bit of it, I think.
Yeah.
That high spot.
Yeah.
I'd say there's going to be some that won't get planted.
There'll be definitely some wet spots we go around, and if anything, they'll be filled in late.
They was just about gone.
Yeah.
I think they were gone, but once it gets up
The fish pond was the only place that I really couldn't.
Of course, is going to be the worst.
Gets up twice, it takes longer. The third time, it won't go out. It'll be there all summer, them low spots.
And if we can get them planted,
Of course,
they'll
it's
be good.
beans.
I know, but it's going.
That
field's bad. It was. Both those fields were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, but I don't sound like maybe northern high, western high, mostly done up in there. It seems like the rain just hit right in here.
So Saturday evening, my wife and I went out of state for our anniversary, and we went and pissed away a few dollars at a casino in Indiana.
How many years is this?
18.
You didn't win?
Happy anniversary.
We got gas money.
You got gas?
We got gas money. So on the way home, I was looking at. To the southwest, it looks like a swamp. I mean, I saw a corn planter parked in a field, and it looks like he's going to have it dry up quite a bit before he get back to his tractor. It was pretty rough looking over there.
But then I thought all along the south and the east coast was wet, but there was places over there dry. There's forest fires over there.
Yeah. I know for our soil types and our environment, like our climate we usually have, a wet year is much better than a dry year as far as profitability. The only thing that's really going to suck is if we stay this wet during the growing season, or during planting season, early growing season, and then we turn dry, that's worst case scenario. If we plant watch dry, those corn plants and bean plants have to put on a good tap root to find moisture. Right now, there's an abundance of moisture, so they're not going to throw a good tap root right off the rip. So if we turn dry, it's really going to that would be worse than planting dry and staying.
And
kinda dry.
you know, it used to be, I said, well, after the 10th of May, you start losing yield corn. I don't know if you do any more like the varieties, because
I would say that depends on your climate. For the year.
yeah, I've planted corn 10th of June, and it was pretty darn good.
I think
It just depends on the rest of the year.
Yeah,
I think we get enough
think
heat
where
units.
we're at, we're okay.
You know, we're not lacking heat units usually in a year. So I know our friends in Minnesota. It seems like heat units are hard to come by there. So I would say it's a lot more big a deal there. Even though I don't think they really get a lot of heat units till June.
Well, I don't know, but it's, I seen the weather this morning said next couple weeks going to be good, sound like.
Yeah. So what did you think of the corn planter? I mean, you were there when we were dialing it in the first day.
Well, so far, I'll tell you more when it comes up, see how it looks.
The first corn planting video just went live last night, matter of fact.
Yeah.
You know,
You didn't have any trouble with the,
with the tractor?
no, with the electronic stuff? It all worked good?
No, I mean, knock on wood, everything was working fine.
We found out that the best way for that blockage monitor is just shut the button off, right?
On the 2020,
I don't know.
2020 is pretty
Still don't have all
intelligent
the fancy
monitor.
stuff.
I like planning with that monitor. It's I like how it works. Very intuitive. But no, so far everything was working good. I was starting to really figure the tractor out about the time I got rained out. Really, I was just getting cooking. I was like, man, we miss this rain tomorrow, I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna knock out a bunch of acres.
See,
And
You called me and said, "Hey, bring me a box of corn," and I kind of looked at the sky. I'm like, okay.
I should have called you 20, 30, or
He
40
called
minutes.
me first, and I said, Dad, we ain't going to play more. He kept playing.
Well, I was looking at it and I was like, I could finish this. Like, if I I should have had you bring me 2 boxes of seed when you filled me up before that, and I had to finish that field. Yeah, because I waited on seed for
Or
30
had
minutes.
him leave the trailer hooked to the truck.
Well, he didn't think we were going
Well,
to.
you got wet now. There's some seed on that thing. You got to brush that off on that trailer.
It's in the barn.
It's in the hoop, right?
Well, it got wet,
Oh, boy.
Oh yeah, it did. It did.
so it'll have to
I mean, it.
just a little bit where
Yeah,
that rubber thing's messed up.
yeah.
We should probably think about maybe putting the rubber thing on there.
We're taking one off the back. That's the one that we always use.
Yeah.
So we have an Underford 4-box seed tender. It holds 4 pro boxes, and there's like a rubber boot that goes up under there to seal it. Well,
Very early on in its life, it got crushed and then pulled off.
yeah. Yep. We want to talk about what we got going on back here in the background with the bean planter. If you're not watching on the YouTube, we are sitting in front of the Fendt 1038 and the horse Avatar. It's sitting here in the shed unfolded. We've got some gauge wheels we got to put on it, and then it will be ready to go. We got to clean the weed out of it, but that's as simple as pulling 2 meters.
Good thing's rained out.
Yeah, I mean there's probably 2 hours worth of, well, with those gauge wheels, probably
Winter job didn't get done.
4 or 5 hours worth of work to do to it, and then it will be fill it up and it'll be ready to go.
Hopefully. Should be.
Yeah, I mean, really the Avatar, as far as once you get planting, is pretty trouble-free. As long as you don't screw up, it does pretty well.
Sometimes folding up is a chore.
I've had a potentiometer go out a couple times, but one thing I like about that drill, there's a workaround. You may have to call a guy to figure out what workaround you need to do, but you can usually get around all those electronic sensors. So I do like that.
Yeah, so far it's been a good drill. I mean, it's a good drill. Puts it in the ground pretty good. Does a good job. You cover a lot of acres.
Yeah,
160 bushel filled up.
yeah. Yeah, they're going to have a new one now. I think I heard them say same drill, but it'll have 320 bushel. I think is what it's, or 235 or something. I was thinking, Christ, if we filled that thing up once, that'd be like a whole. That'd be the whole variety of that.
A couple
sure.
times, though, it had filled up.
Yeah. wouldn't need these seed tenders. We just use a telehandler.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on this thing, have we got the timing figured out for like the look ahead?
So all that stuff did not transfer into that monitor. So we need to check that. But I remember what they were.
Oh my.
The look aheads were 4.5 and 5.5, and I just put them all at 5.
So can I ask a question? When the wheat went in last fall,
They were probably at 1.
I was going to say there's little triangles.
Yep, I would say that for some reason, I think it's where when we tried to clear out some of the profiles and stuff. Remember how we had a lot of different duplicates? I think that the ones we were using got deleted, and then the ones that got yeah. So if you don't know what we're talking about, with an air seeder, which is what our horse drill is, or an air drill, it is very different than a corn planter. A corn planter, the thing metering seed is only a foot above where the seed falls out of the ground. With our drill, the thing that meters seed is 30 feet away from the point of contact to the ground. So that meter has to look at basically the isobus system on the drill. Everything has to be looking ahead. So when you're coming into a zone that needs to shut the planter off, it needs to be looking ahead 5 seconds, because it takes 5 seconds for that seed to go through that meter and then get to the end of the line, basically. So that's what we're talking about. When we planted wheat last year, something happened with our look ahead setting, and I think we were shutting off early and turning on late. Or no, we were shutting off late, turning on early, I believe.
One way.
Something or another.
There's some
Either way, there's a few blank spots. So one thing with the drill is kind of important is to try to always enter your headlands at the same speed every time, because from the time you set her down, you got to basically think you got 5 seconds before you need to be crossing into the.
Ain't the planter like that?
The planter look ahead is so small, it's minute.
Yeah, you're taking seed from here to here, like with that and with the strip till bar. Like he said, you get 30 feet.
Did you ever put a look ahead in for the strip till bars? It's the same concept.
So I checked it against basically. So you guys do the end rows first, right?
Well, because of
I do
boundaries.
the end rows last because we have boundary control. Well, I kind of got to guess where 120 feet is, but when I pull into the work area, I can get out and see where fertilizer is dropped. Looks like it was good. But like you said, you've got to maintain a constant speed. If you get in a tight corner of a field where sometimes I use the decelerator pedal, and it'll slow everything down. So you got to watch that. There's probably a delay there.
Yeah. I quit using boundary control on the corn. I never did on the corn planter, and I think I still was with the Avatar. But the one year we got into places where our boundaries had shifted so much and screwed up, I just said the heck with it. I liked doing the ends last, because with that Avatar, you scoot so much ground when you turn. Going over those ends last kind of flatten that back out. But
I guess what I could do is, well, not now, but I could just, instead of using just whole field or whatever, and use my foot pedal to shut it off when I come out of the ends.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple things we've got coming up on the farm. One, the Salford 2200, it's going to be making a return. So it's been sitting in the yard kind of waiting on us to get that fertilizer spread. We're going to be running over some corn stalks with it. We were hoping to put on some lime, but later we get into May, that's probably not going to happen now. I'm hoping that we can pile up some lime this summer, and as soon as the first bean fields start coming off, I would love to be right behind you guys putting lime down, because we have a lot of lime we need to get applied. Lime's pretty important. That basically keeps your fertilizer free. And then
and that's things that we should be able to accomplish now with one big combine running and an extra set of hands.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Jim and Jeff can drive, or Jim or Jeff for beans can drive, either one.
Yeah,
I should be able to be spreading right behind you. This year, the land roller, though. Last year was the first year we used a Mendeco land roller. Our thoughts on it, we really liked it. Really smoothed fields out. We didn't break many sections. I don't know how much of that was the land roller, how much of that was the conditions, how much of that was the honeybee head. But this year we're going to try to prioritize that land roller a little bit more. Last year it was just kind of like, yeah, let's try it on this field. We got an empty person right now, we'll throw them in that tractor. This year, the other Fent is going to eventually pull that land roller, which is definitely overkill, but it's an empty tractor we got. You pretty well liked the land roller, didn't you, Dad, as far as for combining and spraying?
I hope we can do. Unless it's, can't do it when it's wet. But yeah, it smoothed the field down. It was surprising how smooth the field was. How you could tell the difference in the sprayer, let alone the combine.
That's what he liked, the sprayer, right?
Yeah. I think that 150-acre field especially, there's a lot of gravelly ridges in that field.
Raw rocks.
Yeah.
And that would definitely be, especially after we run over it with this sulfured planet, that ground's going to be kind of mellow, push them rocks back down.
So I have strip tilled some of the fields that were land rolled last year.
Yeah.
Pulled up some of those rocks.
Well, we'll push them back
Pulled
down.
up some concrete.
Well, here.
Yeah, but that was those were big chunks that were pushed down last year.
So one thing you got to remember with the land roller, steer clear of the power lines.
Yeah, that'd be a good
That was
idea.
about a year ago.
Yeah. So given some things that have happened locally here in the last few months,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad that you were.
Yeah, unfortunately, farming is a dangerous business, and there's been a couple fatalities, farm-related accidents, and it's not just in the state; it's within 30 miles of here, and pretty unfortunate, and kind of a good reminder, to really be safe. But anyways, we'll hopefully we can get that land roller over most of the acres. That's kind of a job that. Yes, every job can be dangerous. I mean, I obviously hit a power line with that land roller, and I've never hit one with anything else, just kind of careless and wasn't paying attention. That's one of those jobs that it's a good job. I think Jeff would be more qualified to run that if his hip's up to it.
Maybe Landon would be up
Well,
basketball, baseball.
If he's out of baseball by then, but I don't think their baseball tournaments are over till June.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's a good job for kids to or younger people or inexperienced people to get some tractor seat time. So hopefully we can keep that thing moving. But we've successfully wasted 30 minutes of people's time now. We're almost to 40.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Look at you just blowing the hot air through the microphone.
Yeah.
Once I get going, I can talk.
Probably ain't nobody listening. Probably too boring. So.
Yeah. Well, most likely. I wouldn't blame them. Yep. There's like 3 people that listen. I think viewership's right.
Well, hopefully
Good for
next,
those 3.
3 to 4.
Hopefully next
I'm
week
not one
we'll
of
be
them.
about half done planting. Hopefully by next week. But
I mean, realistically, if we hit a 5-day window, I can plant, especially where at the part of the operation we're at, 250 to 350 acres in a day would be pretty easily done with that corn planter. So if we had a week of good weather, the corn could be pretty well done.
Yeah.
The beans, it's going to take a little while, but luckily with our growing season, we can get a little while longer out of those, I think. So hopefully when we come back next week, the planting report is much better. But as it sits right now, we're like a little over 10% done.
Well, hopefully the next podcast is like 10, 15 days away because we are in the fields.
Yeah. Hopefully, I have a potential guest coming in. Hopefully we can get him here tomorrow. While it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
Pre-record?
And pre-record one for once. Yeah. That'd
be on time, huh?
Yeah, that'd be handy. These are supposed to come out on Sunday, and this is Monday because I was not anticipating how busy baseball season and softball
Seems
season.
like a month since the last podcast.
Yeah. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will hopefully be back here next week with another episode. And
We're going to have to find some more old magazines so Dad can have his.
he's pretty well went through that one, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yep. If you guys have a topic or if you would like to be a guest on the show, let us know. We do have the option to do phone interviews. Not my favorite way to go about it, but if we must, we must. So I also don't know how to do it. I just see that there's a phone on this soundboard.
See, I think
Be
you got to plug the
interesting.
phone in there.
So in other words, whoever's on the
So
other
if
end,
they're
ought
sitting at the end of the table,
maybe
on their
know
phone,
what they're doing.
I think you Bluetooth your phone into that. Or Wi-Fi connect it to that. And then while they're talking on your phone, the sound is coming through here.
Looks like an auxiliary connector on there.
Anyway. But anyways, folks, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode.